Hey, good morning, guys. Happy Saturday. Hope you're having a blessed day so far. And I want to talk to you about the Israelites. And if you know the story, you know they were in Egypt for many years. They were slaves to Pharaoh, and they were building structures. They were doing all the farm work, right? They're working all day long. And then eventually Pharaoh says, well, make them make the bricks too and do the work, but give them no more time off, right? They still do all the quota they were doing before. So they were worked to till they had nothing left, right? But they had a place to sleep, they had all the meat and bread they wanted, so they were supposedly comfortable. But then eventually God sends Moses and Aaron to Pharaoh to say, let my people go. Let them go and worship God in the desert. And then, of course, Pharaoh says no. So then God sends a sign, and then Pharaoh says no, God sends a sign. And right, that they go back for the process until eventually Pharaoh lets him go, but then he hardens his heart one more time, and they're at the Red Sea, right? And then the Israelites are barely crossing across, and then God sends the water over the Egyptians and drowns all of them. It says not one was remaining. So then now they're wandering through the desert, and they have no bread, they have no meat, so they're complaining. They're like, why did you take us out of Egypt? We had all the meat and bread we wanted. Why? We were okay. And one thing I realized that really struck out to me today is think about that place you have in your life where you're so comfortable, yet you're so miserable, right? You have what you need, supposedly you have enough. You're comfortable because you know every aspect of that life. Even though what you're doing or living in may be draining you and is taking the life out of you. But you are comfortable and you have enough. And that's what the Israelites were doing in the situation. Like, we were slaves, but at least we have food. At least we have a place to sleep when we weren't wandering through a desert. So this is when God says to Moses, they will have bread enough each day, but do not take more than they need for a day. For then the next day they'll have worms and it be small and bad. And God says, I'm doing this to test them. So sometimes God's going to be testing you, even though it may be miserable. You may not have that comfortability supposedly you had before, but God's elevating you into something so much better. He's testing you before you go into your promised land. So stay firm, worry about each day and not tomorrow, and trust in God.